Hey, I'm Jess with Bundle and Joy.
Hi, and I'm Kim. I'm the co-founder of Brutus Bone Broth.
So excited to be talking with you today, Kim. We are on a mission to bring purpose to pet nutrition, and a huge part of that for us is connecting with other founders. I think it's so important that collectively we work together. So excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, and it's definitely more fun too. So thanks for making the time.
Absolutely. So we have been able to do some great conversations with other founders, and we're honestly just trying to talk about things that are, challenges as a founder, challenges at having a business. I know for me, a big part of our business is just, all about joy. So what's something that's been bringing you joy lately? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because as a founder, we've been doing this. We launched in 2018. So we've been doing this for a few years. And as a founder, you have like those total up and down days. So you have a day where like you get a new account, you're like, woohoo, and then you're like, oh, we have a manufacturing issue or something. So I think it's always been up and down. I think meeting people like you guys and some of the other founders that we do partnerships with has been great. We partner with over 100 animal shelters nationwide as well. So being able to get some of those nice success stories about how we've been able to help dogs is really kind of why my sister and I do this every single day. And we also do a lot with mentoring. So that's been really fun for us, especially since both of us are moms. And we've been able to really kind of bring a lot of the kids into the fold. We have a kids committee, but we also do mentoring with college students and just kind of learning like the ups and downs of business and how do you problem solve when something happens. And that's been rewarding, I guess, too. So, and what about you guys? I know you guys are pretty new, so tell the backstory.
Yeah, it's a crazy ride every day. So I've been in the industry for 15 years, but Bundle and Joy is new this year in 2022. So it has been a roller coaster, like you said. Every day is a wild ride. It does feel like the Wild West. We're in Phoenix, so technically we are in the Wild West. So kind of fitting, but it's been great. We're very excited. We just launched that or announced that we launched into Whole Foods, into our first region in the West here. So we're very excited about that. And
congratulations. That's a huge one.
thank you. Yeah, it's definitely like a full circle moment. I used to work for another brand and we sold into Whole Foods. So it's been pretty cool to finally have my own brand to sell in. That being said, as a founder, you get to celebrate for like this amount of time. And then you're like, okay, now I actually have to sell and now people have to go buy it. And so we've been really focused on that. But as we head into the holidays, I'm hoping that we really can like find some time to just reflect on the journey that has been this year, try to find those moments of joy with our pups and with our team. But like you said, I think at the end of the day, our team has grown so much and we go through the hard times together. And so I think just having like the opportunity to talk to someone else about what they're going through, like you and I could probably tell some crazy stories.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because my sister and I like will announce a new retailer and people are like, oh my God, you have it made. Like when we got into Target, people are like, whoa, you're done. And I'm like, no, now the work really starts because that is what keeps me up at night. Because if you don't have the sell through, you can get discontinued. And then who wants to pick up a brand that's been discontinued by Target? So as much as like you see those little successes, people don't realize how much hard work is really behind it. And like you said, Jess, it really helps being able to have a community of founders that you can bounce off, ideas off of, or, being like, okay, you're in this retailer, what is worth spending your marketing dollars on and what's not worth it? Or what are the benchmarks that you need to and the KPIs you need to look at? Because I don't know about you, but like for us, we have the retailers that come, they're like, here are all of our marketing programs. And this is only $100,000. And this is, this is a really inexpensive one for 50. And you're like, oh my God, should I be doing this? And I don't have that much money. And so then you find like kind of more like little hacks about how to make a difference. And I saw your, recent announcement with the Whole Foods biscuit campaign, which is great because you want your product to get into the hands of the customers because once they try it, they love it and they're going to go back for more. So I think, being able to kind of brainstorm things like that with each other and make each, because unless you talk to somebody who's been through it, you're not going to know. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, there's definitely that tendency to feel like you have to do all these things just because you see other people do it, for sure. Especially when it comes to all things digital and social media. I think there's a lot of days where I feel like, oh my gosh, like we're not doing so many things we should be doing, or we're not doing things the right way, or we're doing it like this, but we should be doing it like this. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of insecurity every day. So it does help to talk to somebody. We talk as a team, which I think helps. I also make sure that I have like external sounding board as well. So someone who's like not necessarily family, who kind of sees it from the outside in, who can give you perspective, because I do find a lot of times like I'm just too close to it. And I sort of see what I want to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important.
There's also just the fact that sometimes you just don't know of other things that might be out there existing. Because I feel like in the pet space, especially, it's a super fragmented industry. So you have, we've always said there's like some really cool mom and pop brands, and they can somewhat be like regional, or they just sell to their like little group. And they don't scale. And then you've got Purina. And I think our two brands are in between. Like we have super high quality curated products, but we want it to be available to everybody. And so it's like, how do you kind of bridge the gap, especially when you're competing against these multi-million-dollar companies that have these marketing budgets and can just like, they just sign up for everything. So how do you make the difference, and how do you message, like how is your messaging to the customer in a way that makes them know that this is like a personal touch? Like I answer all of our customer service emails, and people are like, oh my God, you're answering me on a Saturday night. I'm like, yeah, because I'm the founder of the company. If you have a question about my product, or you want to tell me something, I'm listening. So to us, that's really important. And I think that also gives us the ability to just know what the market's saying, because as you said, you are in the weeds in so many different things. I mean, there's so many parts of the business between marketing, manufacturing, regulatory compliance, all that stuff. So I think that is one way for us that we kind of just keep it, a touch on the pulse of what's going on with our product and what people say about it within the market. We do a lot of events too, so.
Yeah, you guys have done some super fun events lately. It's been fun to watch. We are living our weekends at markets and festivals and just connecting with the community as well. And I used to have like a work week and then a weekend, and now it's all one big blur. So
I don't know any founders who have like the work week and then the weekend. It's just one blur,
Yeah.
And, but like I said before we press play for the video, I've been on Zoom since 4 a.m. my time. So, because of the time difference, so.
Yeah. Well, I love what you were saying though, as far as, I think as consumers, we often say that we want products that have more representation, or we want products from startup businesses or small businesses. And I think as consumers, it can be really easy to see when a brand does expand as a negative. And as you and I know, in order to stay in business, we have to be able to scale and grow into new partnerships and new channels. And so I think as consumers, especially as women, we have a tendency to be very hard on each other, hard on ourselves and hard on others. And I think as consumers, I'm hopeful that as brands like yours and I's start to expand, that it's a positive thing, that it's seen as, hey, this is a brand that is different and is bringing, a different face to the industry, but also can go to these other channels without any kind of negative backlash. Because to be very frank, like I've been nervous about us launching into more stores, because I've been like, oh, people are going to think we're not a small business anymore. And we're like as small as they come, there's 5 of us hustling, grinding it out every day, part-time mostly. We are a small business and living day to day as a founder. I don't say it a lot. I don't pay myself. I haven't made money for quite some time. And that's tough. That's a family sacrifice we've had to make. And there's a lot of things behind the scenes that you don't always see. So I just, as a consumer, it sort of reminded me to like respect the hustle and to be okay with brands that are small brands that get into more stores, because that means that they have the ability to just serve more customers.
All right, so let me ask you this question. My background is not pets, but yours is. And now you're on your own. So what has been the most eye-opening, surprising thing that you have realized when you are now on your own?
So many things, but you know, I think that it always looks easier than it is, of course. And you're like, oh, anyone can, you know, build a brand and build products and get distribution. And I think the biggest surprise for me is how many layers there are. There's so many layers. I mean, I didn't know what a tech stack was before, you know, there's all these like
somebody else
buzzwords,
would do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, you mean like I have to have like an app for this and a system for this, and I have to pay for people's email address, you know, oh, I have to have expensive insurance and, you know, trademarks. There's just so many things. So I think for me, the biggest surprise has been like all the intricacies and the levels of building a brand. It is so much work to get to just to be able to sell. And I was probably still a little naive, actually. And I think that's more because when it is your own, you're building something from scratch. It is so much harder than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. Or I love when people are like, well, you can just transfer me to the tech department. I'm like, this is the tech department, you know? So,
yeah. Our favorite thing in the office is like, I'll yell out, hey, Julia, how do you feel about being our office manager? And she's just like, sure, you know? So we like to wear many, many hats. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, like, we've got a good understanding that we're all here to hustle. We're all here to get it done. And I think having that core mission and what we have does push us to get through the hard times. And we have kind of joked that we might need like a therapy session at some point, you know, after launching at a couple places like we are. But yeah, I think the pet industry is something I've done for so long. So I'm super comfortable in it. But at the end of the day, like building any business is a lot of work. So,
yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not from the pet industry. So for me, the shocking thing was we're a human grade product. And so we manufacture in a human grade facility. So we go through USDA and FDA approvals. Mm-hmm. But then I didn't realize, and I don't think a lot of consumers realize, that pet food is regulated state by state through an organization called AAFCO. So you have to meet different criteria for each state that you actually sell your product in. Mm-hmm. And it's harder to get the pet food certifications than it is to get human food certifications. And a lot of people just think pet food's unregulated, but it's just worse. So that was eye-opening, and it's a lot of time. And again, it's like different states have different criteria. So you're like trying to figure out, it's like a balance of what you can say or can't say on your packaging. And it's crazy when you walk down a pet food aisle, you're like, ooh, they're not AAFCO compliant, or they show this and they're not allowed, you know, but they're still on the shelf. So I think that there's some brands that don't really take it seriously. We do, but that was really eye-opening because it's time-consuming and expensive.
So what's the biggest piece of advice you'd give to someone who has a dream that wants to go start a business or do something for themselves? I always like to ask people.
You know, I always say make sure it's something that you're going to love doing, because you're going to be doing a lot of it. I always say do your research. It's amazing to me how many people don't research. And, you know, for us, a big part of it was research and beta testing, because some people are like, I'm going to start this business. I have this great idea. They start this business and then they're like trying to go to sell to a retailer, but they don't have data to back it up. They didn't do their homework. So I think for us, we've been successful because of the amount of time we've put into researching and doing beta testing in the market to make sure that what we're selling actually resonates and works. So yeah, and you gotta surround yourself with good people. You don't know it all, so make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who can help you. You know, a lot of people think that they can just do it themselves. I don't know how people do it themselves. Like, there's days where you just want to like crawl under your bed, So
yeah, you might be able to do it.
Pick you up.
You might be able to do it by yourself for a little while, but it's definitely not maintainable for a long time. And it's boring
me, like, the
too.
mental health part. I mean, the other part is like having something. Like I run a lot, and so I'm like, okay. Sometimes I'll like be listening to a webinar, and I'm like, I got to get out for a run today just because I need balance, And it's like a stress reliever for me. What about you?
Yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice is find something you're really passionate about, because it is what holds you and gets you through. Similar to what you said, it's got to be something that you enjoy doing ultimately. I think I've worked in other industries where I just wasn't super passionate about what I was selling or doing, and I might have loved like my job, but not necessarily, I didn't have the excitement behind what I was selling or what I was doing. So I think that is really important. And yeah, I just think at the end of the day, like, what are you passionate about? I tell a lot of people to think about what it is they did as a kid, when they like to play, and like what were the types of things, and to try to like dig into that younger self before we all got very jaded as to, what it is that maybe you were like born to do. It might sound cheesy, but I think all of us really have a unique purpose and skill and gift, and something that they're supposed to bring to the universe. So
yeah, and it has to be fun, because like, you think about how much time you spend doing your job. It's like you spend a lot of hours, so.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, we're so excited to be partnering with you this month and into the future. There's so many amazing synergies with our products and with Brutus Bone Broth. So excited to chat, and excited to see where this journey takes us both.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kim.